He has transitioned beautifully from athlete to great broadcaster. KNBR, one of the great local radio titans in the country, 2 to 6, Tom Tolbert. So you're watching this Last Dance thing, Tom, and you actually were in the 91 Western Conference semis against Magic, and do you face Jordan in the mid-90s in the playoffs?
No. But first, Colin, you know me. We got to start off with a how are you?
How are you?
I got to know how you're doing. I mean, I don't ask for candles, but I do ask for a Cobb salad and maybe a French dip with some au jus. That's about it. And after that, I'm good to go.
Well, I'm looking at stuff right here. Somebody put down your. So, first of all, what's your takeaway on The Last Dance?
It's been good. I know a lot of people think it's been great. I lived through a lot of it. I'm real good friends with Steve Kerr, Judd Bushler, so I've heard a lot of the stories and watched the games and saw the rise of the Jordan eras, the Bulls, and kind of watched them go through their struggles in the 80s. But having played against them and lived it, I like it. I think it's very good. I don't think it's great. It's not revolutionary. There's not a ton of stuff in there that I didn't know, just because maybe I knew some of the stuff that most people didn't, because I had the friends that played for the team. So, but I do like it. I mean, I don't know if it's a combination of it's great like everybody says it is, or it's like sports programming and everybody's like, oh my God, we'll take anything right now.
Yeah, right.
That is sports programming that we haven't seen before. So, but look, I watch it every week. I look forward to it, and I think it's very well done.
Is there, I mean, when the first time you got a glimpse of Michael, or you had to switch off on him,
Yep.
we know that he was long, big hands, athletic. Some of the video clips, and I lived through it too, but the first time you got a glimpse of him or played against him, was it a little surreal? I mean, was he that much greater than the guy you played with, Dominique Wilkins?
Yes. Yeah, he was. That's what makes him. Look, I hate to argue who the best player ever was, because there's different eras. People want to compare LeBron and Michael all the time, but the eras were totally different. I mean, defenses were different. Offenses were different. The way you played was different. Can you imagine Michael now if you couldn't touch the guy? He'd average 40 a game. And can you imagine LeBron, the way he plays defense when he's locked in, if he could be physical and really manhandle you while he's playing defense? So, I mean, it's totally different to me. I mean, but Jordan is obviously one of the greatest handful of players in the game. And yes, there was something different about him. And when I switched off on him, I just yelled help. I was just like, you know what? Let me back off of him, and if he makes a jump shot, what the hell? At least he makes a jump shot. I figured if he drove around me, I'd grab him. If he went up in the air, I'd try to knock him on his ass. And if he shot a jump shot, then I'd just say, what do you want me to do? It didn't happen a lot, but occasionally it would happen. And yes, more terrifying was when he switched off on you on defense, because I was just trying to get rid of the ball. I was like, I was thinking to myself, no good is going to come from this. So either I just shoot it right now where he can't take it from me once I put it on the ground, or I pass it as quickly as I can, because I knew if I thought too much about what I should do with it, he was just going to take it away from me, and I didn't need that. I didn't need the aggravation.
Yeah, he was a great defensive player. I was always struck by, I remember hearing a story during his time off that he was in Birmingham, and he put on one of those outfits to make you sweat, like one of those blacktop things. You put them on, and he went through 3 hours of batting practice in Birmingham. And I thought to myself, and I remember seeing that and thinking, there are certain people in my life that can literally play 36 holes of golf in the extreme humidity in South Carolina in August and then go out to dinner and have drinks and do it all over again. I am not that person. There is a relentlessness to Mike, a relentlessness that, I mean, you played with certain guys. Michael's energy bordered on alien. It was just, to me, he just had it every single night. Is there anybody comparable? Have you ever played with an athlete like they don't sleep? They can just play.
Well, yeah. The one guy, Colin, was Chris Mullin, who I played with in Golden State for 3 years. And he was a guy that if he only played 24 minutes, usually less than 30 minutes, you'd come in and he'd put on the same thing, those sweat tops, and then he'd go ride the Stairmaster or the bike. And 28 minutes for me I was like, damn, I need an ice bath and some beers. And 28 minutes for Chris, that wasn't even really a workout for him. So he just wanted to make sure he got more of a workout in. So yeah, he was similar in that if he didn't feel like he got the workout that he needed, he would go get extra. And he was always in the gym after practice. Even if it was a hard practice, he'd do a little bit more, get up a few more shots. I remember we went golfing one time. It might have been after practice, maybe not. Maybe it was during the off season. But anyway, we go golfing, and he leaves us after 9 holes. And so me and my buddy Mark Grabo, who was a trainer on the team at the time, we're finishing, and we see Chris jogging with his dog, like as we're playing the 13th hole. So he wanted to make sure he got his workout in that day. So he played 9 holes with us, and then he went for like a 5-mile run with his Akita, and then he went and did some other stuff. He was that way in that he needed it. He wanted it. He craved that kind of stuff. But those guys are different. They're different. I mean, Michael's one of those guys that he has the greatest natural ability to go along with the greatest work ethic. Yeah. There are guys who have great work ethic that don't have great natural ability, and maybe you can stay in the league 8-10 years. Or you have guys with great talent that maybe don't have the greatest work ethic. I always thought Derek Coleman struck me as one of those type of guys who had incredible natural talent and probably should have been just as good as Karl Malone was. Except, I don't think DC worked quite as hard as Karl Malone did. But you get some all-stars and a nice career and make some nice money. But when you put incredible talent with incredible work ethic, that's when you start getting your Birds and your Magics and your Jordans and your LeBrons, guys that just have an insatiable desire to go out there and work and be the best.
Is there anything Kobe did better than MJ?
Oh, boy. You know what? I didn't play against Kobe, and obviously they were similar. I mean, it always struck me. Not only did they talk the same and they kind of moved the same, somehow or another the ball went in the bucket the same way. Like on that fadeaway jump shot, the ball seemed to go in the bucket the same way Jordan did. I mean, it was uncanny how much they played alike. But I don't know that there's anything that he did that was better than Jordan. I mean, you look at Jordan's shooting percentage throughout the course of his career, and he was regularly 53, 52, 54, which is not easy to do for an off guard. And look, he didn't shoot a lot of threes, but you can't tell me that if he didn't grow up in the era of threes, he would have been able to shoot the three. I mean, he could have done anything he wanted to. The game didn't reward that as much back then. Nobody really cared about the three. It was inside out when I played. Now it's outside in. But Kobe was great. But as far as I'm concerned, looking at his career and Jordan's career, I mean, and I could be missing something, but they're so similar, and I just think Jordan was better at everything on the basketball court than Kobe was, and there's no shame in that.
Is Steve Kerr was a vital part of the Bulls. Jud Buechler was just he wasn't as much. Do they have similar experiences with MJ, or does one think of MJ more fondly than the other?
I like to say they're both a vital part of the Bulls, but vital. I mean, you can't choose the word.
I get it. Yeah.
I know that's terrible. Not really. I mean, they both have the same story. Just how driven he was in practice, how he wouldn't let him lose, how in that 72-win season, it could have been a back-to-back and maybe the second of a back-to-back in Utah or Denver or Dallas, wherever, and they were going to play. Because Jordan was one of those guys that always felt like, look, someone's coming to watch me play. Could be the first time. I want to get out there and play, and I want to be at my best. And you see during the documentary that he just takes these slights, the Marley slight.
Yeah,
and I forget who
it's
else.
crazy.
It's like, I guess that's one of the reasons, you look at his Hall of Fame speech. He talked about the slights in high school and stuff. And you wonder what drives a guy who's, considered the greatest ever. And I guess that's what drives him. He's got to make up stuff like, he thinks Marley's a good defender. Okay, I'm going to go show him. It's like, wow, this guy really does that kind of stuff. But I guess when you've achieved so much and you dominate every time you go out there, you got to figure out a way to get yourself juiced up and ready to go and dominate again. And when we played him, Colin, I was with Orlando, and we played him, and he had 64, and we beat him. Shaq had like 29 and 24. It was a game that was on NBA TV not that long ago. And at the end of the game, I remember thinking, man, he played pretty good. He must have had close to 40. And I looked up the scoreboard, he had 64. And I was like, God dang, 64. And then it kind of dawns on you, that's how good this guy is. Like 64 doesn't even seem like a huge deal because he scores. He's always regularly in the 30s and 40s, and it's not that big a deal. So when a guy can get 64 and you don't even really notice it that much, that should let you know kind of weapon that guy was.
Yeah. Tom Tolbert joining us. So your gut feeling on if the NBA comes back,
mm-hmm.
Do you think it will?
God, I think it's 50-50 right now. I really do. Here's what I think. I think if it comes back, it should be playoffs only. And if they have to, because I'd like to see them crown a champion this year, if they have to, just go to the final 8. They don't need 16. When's the last time anybody in the bottom half of the playoffs made any noise, like really made a run? Maybe there was an upset here or there. Denver beat Seattle one year, and Memphis beat San Antonio, and then you had the Knicks beating the Heat, and the Warriors beat the Mavericks. But, you know, when it comes right down to it, usually it's your 1, 2s, 3s, and 4 seeds. You might get a 5 that sneaks in there occasionally, or a rogue 6, but for the most part. So I'm okay with them just saying, look, let's just go 8. 4 aside, let's knock this thing out. We can play best of 7. We don't got to shorten it to best of 5 and see if we could find ourselves a champion. Would it be cheapened somewhat? Yeah, I guess. But the playoffs were pretty much set already. There was a few things that could have happened. And again, I just don't think 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds. It's not hockey. It's basketball. Those guys don't matter as much. I mean, it's no fun for them. They're not going to make the playoffs. And I know the owners would love to have the income. So the money always comes into play. But as far as determining a true champion, I think if you put 4 in the Eastern, 4 in the Western, let them fight it out, I mean, you'd get your champion.
You think most guys want to play?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the guys who are in first and second feel like they have a legitimate chance to win a championship. Definitely want to play. I think Giannis would definitely want to play. LeBron, I don't think there's any doubt, wants to get back there and try to win a ring. I think guys that aren't in the playoffs, there's not a chance in hell they want to play. Yeah. They do not want to come back and play the last 10 games of the season, because who knows what guys are going to be looking like. You're going to get guys. Remember when Sean Kemp came back after the lockout that one time, and it looked like Sean Kemp put on about 50 pounds during the break? You may get some of that out there. I mean, it may be a rash of blown ACLs and torn tendons and all kinds of stuff, because I guarantee you guys are straight lounging right now. If you're not in the playoffs, you're just like, bro, I'm on the beach, I'm chilling right now. Hey, we're playing in like 2 weeks. Oh, damn. Too bad for me. So, yeah, there's no reason to go back to the regular season, because I don't want to see a whole bunch of dudes get out there and get hurt. And the one thing I will say I am fearful for, if they do bring the season back and they just go to the playoffs, I hope it looks like playoff basketball, at least close to it. That'd be my biggest fear if I'm Adam Silver, is come back and the basketball just looks like garbage. That's not what you want. You want to at least have, because playoff basketball is high-intensity basketball. It's the most fun basketball to watch of the season. You don't want it to come back. It's like, ooh, live sports is here, and then you're watching. It's like, wow, this sucks. This is terrible. So that's not what you want. So I guess it's a fine line, but I'd like to see a champion if at all possible. What's
your average day like now? I mean, see where I live in Manhattan Beach, we've had one death, 50 or 60 cases, 36,000 people. It's not, my doctor has tested, a dozen, 2 dozen people, no positives. It's not, we're all cautious with social distancing, but it's not New York City. It's a beach community in LA, and there isn't this, we haven't had the big outbreak. It is in San Francisco. The numbers have been pretty low. What is the average day like in San Francisco?
I'm right across the bay from San Francisco. In fact, I can see the city from where I'm at over here in Alameda. So for us, it's just, get up in the morning, hang out easily, get outside, go for a walk. That's my exercise. And then there's a whole bunch of people on the trail that never used to be there. So you got to kind of avoid them like traffic cones. You're weaving in and weaving out. And some people have the masks on, and some people don't have the masks on. I went out there a couple of weeks ago. I didn't really have one of those masks, those surgical masks. So I wore the Michael Myers mask from Halloween. That's the only mask I had.
Wow.
And it kind of freaked people out when I was walking.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if it kept the germs out or not, but I don't know. It's the best I could do.
Well, 6'6" guy or 6'7" guy with a Michael Myers mask on yeah. Yeah,
and I had the Dickies on, and I walked real slow and tilted my head every once in a while.
Oh,
so
boy.
people thought, and I probably should have left the knife at home. But after I get home from the walk, I don't know. You just go. We got the setup upstairs, so do the show upstairs with my partners Rod and Larry. Come downstairs, have a couple beers, find an old game to watch, maybe find something on Netflix. I've gone through probably 10, 15 documentaries. I watched a damn documentary on a sculptor. That's where I'm at right now. Wow. I said, you know what? It's about time you get cultured. So I watched a documentary on a sculptor, and that'll be the last documentary I watch on a sculptor, although it was fairly fascinating. Although I will recommend Peaky Blinders to you if you haven't seen that one.
Oh, yeah.
On Netflix. Yeah, that one's awesome. That one I didn't know about before this, and I watched it. And once I started it took me about 4 episodes to really kind of get going. And then that was one of those 3 a.m. shows where I just stayed up every night until 3 a.m. until I knocked it out. I love that show. Great show.
Tom Tolbert, KNBR. Good talking to you, bud.
Colin, I finally know the answer to my question before I came on here. I said, I wonder how long it would take Colin, who's been around the business forever and knows a lot of people, I wonder how long it would take him to go through his Rolodex. And now that you finally hit me, we have the answer. 7 weeks.
Stop.
Be safe, Colin.
All right, buddy.